Alright, what is up you guys? My name is Jovani and welcome back to another video. So in the last video, I asked you guys for some help on this 2010 GMC Terrain. Well, today I'm going to be trying out a couple things that you guys mentioned. After a couple of you guys suggested it, and after my friend Pat called me and suggested it, and it seemed like the easiest thing to try and it's not going to hurt anything if it doesn't work. Last night I came over here and I dropped in about a couple squirts of ATF. This is just automatic transmission fluid. The reasoning behind this is because I had mentioned that I was cranking the engine so much that I might have flooded it. The thing that was confusing me the most is that I was getting spark and I was getting fuel, and it seems like I'm not getting compression. There could be a couple reasons why I'm not getting compression. It could be the fact that my timing's off, and so the valves are basically opening when they should be closed, which I really hope it's not, because I could swear that I did the timing right, 100% correct. If my timing's right, then that means I'm losing compression somewhere else, and that somewhere else might be in the actual piston rings themselves. Now, I did have this motor taken out of the vehicle, and I did have the motor stripped apart at the heads and everything, so the cylinders were exposed. In addition to me constantly cranking the engine, that means fuel was actually getting into the cylinders itself without igniting, and basically fuel is flowing past the rings and dropping into the oil, which basically means the oil isn't very efficient, and it's not sealing those piston rings in the cylinder walls. To remedy that, again, we've dropped in a couple squirts of ATF into the cylinders overnight. I don't have the highest hopes for this, but you know, if it works, awesome. So I'm gonna put together the spark plugs again, and we'll try to fire it up and see what happens. So, and just a side note, the reason why I knew I was getting fuel is because my spark plugs were completely saturated. These were brand new spark plugs. Before I started doing anything, I had bought brand new spark plugs and changed them while I had the engine all apart and all that. You can see that they're pretty sooty. The biggest thing was last night when I took them out, they smelled of fuel really bad. A lot of that's evaporated now, so I think this may have been a good thing to leave the spark plugs out anyway, because now they don't smell like gas, and they're not as soaked as they were last night. Alright, so as you can see, it's all back together now. Spark plugs are in, boots are on. To address another comment that I saw come up a lot was my PCV system. Everything's hooked up as it should be. I've hooked up all the PCV hoses and everything just like stock, so that's all good. So I'm gonna hop in and give her a crank and see what happens. Alright, in the car, getting ready to crank. Well, it was a valiant effort, I guess. Really didn't think that was the case, so that means the only thing left is the cam timing again. So that means I'm gonna have to pull the valve cover off, and we're gonna check the marks up top, because I know of a little bit of a trick without actually getting the marks completely lined up to just verify cam timing. But most likely it's off. Or another thing someone stated was that the camshafts themselves may be incorrect. I'm not sure, so I'm gonna get the part numbers of all that stuff, and basically we're gonna see from there. So valve cover's off. I'm not seeing any fucking destruction, so that's great. Let's see. What someone had mentioned is that I can't remember, the cam should be able to move, or it shouldn't be able to move when I turn it, basically, when it's parked like this. So I'm gonna grab a wrench real fast, and we're gonna try to spin these cams, see if they're actuating on the sprockets or not. No, so I can tell right now that I cannot turn this cam. So that means, I believe that means that this sprocket is working as it should. Obviously not the right tool, but the biggest wrench I have is, I believe, a 22, and these are 24 and 25s. Just gonna have to use what we have. Okay. So yeah, okay. Cam sprockets are not moving, so they're not actuating, which I believe is good. Correct me if I'm wrong. Also, another thing is, yes, I have the little lifter thing that goes inside the high pressure fuel pump housing. That's all good. I'm getting like 2,000 PSI to the rail, so I know that that's okay. And my cylinders are washed with fuel, so I know I'm getting fuel. I really don't want to take this thing apart again, but I'm probably going to have to. As you guys can see, I mean, timing chain is solid. So I've done everything there. I'm tempted to just spin the damn thing over like a million times until these marks actually line up, just to prove to myself that I actually did it right, because I'm not going crazy, and I swear to you guys I did it correctly. I'm gonna grab the camshaft part numbers real quick. Alright, so I want to show you guys this. Obviously on top, this is my old cam. Alright guys, so I just got done from my live feed. Thanks to those of you that joined me. I know it was a really long feed. We almost went for 3 hours diagnosing this thing. I took the timing cover off. I checked the time, well, I noticed that the crank gear was a very tight fit, which isn't usual. Before, I've always been able to just slip that thing off, on and off, and for some reason it was really tight on the crank. So it took me a little while to pull that off. I ended up using a harmonic balancer puller to take it off. And then I kind of thought that was my issue at first. I thought maybe it had slipped, like broke the key off the crank or whatever. Luckily it didn't. Here we are, I'm back at the bench now. And I figured out what the problem is. So you can see that pretty much every intake valve is gone. It's bent. No bueno. I'm gonna get something just to kind of prove it to you guys, because I know it's hard to see on camera, but yeah, you can actually see daylight through them. So that's no bueno. See, this tool fits in underneath the valve. Same thing, it looks like only one of these valves is spared, and that's this one. It may still be slightly bent, but it looks like it's seated well. On the bright side, I suppose, this is my old head. I still have it. I haven't sent it back for core yet, but I do believe that the valves in here are still okay. I don't think any of them were actually bent. So I might be able to pull the valves out, put them in there, lap them, and we still have a good head. The worst part about all of this is that this is a $450 head. I just received this head in like 2 weeks ago. And it's actually a brand new GM head. It's not even refurbished, it's brand new. So just shitty luck, I guess, and user error. You know, you guys that said it was timing, you were right. I could have sworn that I had it right. The only thing is I could have had it 180 degrees out, but I don't know if that's possible or not on this style, but yeah, I mean, chances are I had it 180 degrees out, so it wiped out all my valves. It sucks, but you know, that's hot rodding, that's what happens. We all make mistakes, and I guess I'm just different, and I'm able to show you guys them and man up to them. You know, we've all made mistakes before. It's just whether or not you're willing to say that you were wrong and own up to them. So obviously, before we can go on, I need to fix those valves. But I do just want to say a huge shout out to the guys on the Sloppy Mechanics public and private pages. You guys are great, honestly. There's some really smart people on there, and I suggest you guys just check out Sloppy Mechanics YouTube page. Matt Happel is he's an inspiration. I don't want to sound all sappy like that, but he's kind of what got me to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna learn when it comes to building engines and stuff like that, and hot rodding in general. So shout out to you, Matt Happel, and everyone on the Sloppy Mechanics pages, and shout out to everyone that commented on the last video. You know, we figured out what was wrong. So I have a sense of relief. I also have a sense of, I guess, sadness that that's what happened. But like I said, it happens. You know, we all make mistakes. But thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos and learn with me as I do things and experiment and whatnot. And those of you that offer me suggestions, follow me on Instagram. We can chat, send me messages, whatever. You can also follow my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jovani Dante Griego. It's real easy to find. And if you guys are into it, subscribe to the channel. You don't have to, doesn't hurt though. So yeah, I will see you guys again in the next video.